Thank you, Craig. Excellently done. Did you feel that? Yes. I think one of the greatest speeches, if that, vision statements ever delivered on the face of the planet. And very well spoken, thank you. I was going to start straight into my talk, but I realized there's an elephant in the room. It's a green and yellow elephant. Because people have asked me how I'm doing and have I recovered and all like that. And it's like, oh, that was so last week. You know, I've moved on. I don't really care. And then my dearly beloved friend sometimes, I don't feel the need to either gloat or grovel. So, so we're moving on. Anyway, it was a great football game for Ohio State. It was a great first half of the first quarter for the Ducks. After that, they flew away. I'm not sure what happened there. And I joined the Chicago Cubs fans of saying next year. So, good morning. What's your dream? We listened to I Have a Dream from Martin Luther King. What a powerful, beautiful thing to have. What a powerful, beautiful dream it is. It's not even yet fully realized, and yet progress has been made from the time he delivered that talk to where we are today. What is your dream? Last week we talked about setting intentions and goals and looking at processes, but before ever even doing that, one of the things we did in the intentions retreat was we looked at our vision, we looked at our life purpose. That starts to tap into, what is my dream? What is it that I came here to be? What is the expression of the divine that I'm really here for? What is the real dream that calls me? What is the new heaven and the new earth for me? Take a breath. There's something within each of our hearts that calls forth and says, this is my dream. This is what I want to be. This is why I'm here. This is why I came to earth this particular time. Our dreams are our fully expressed life. See, that dream is Martin Luther King's life. It was his life work to help to create equality on earth, equality in this country. Our dream is our life. The thing is that as soon as we express our life fully, have you ever noticed? All the naysayers come out. And so we get to face either the fear of death or the fear of failure, the fear of the death of our dream. And so as a result, we don't go for our dream. We put it aside, we settle for something less. We get practical. We try it maybe, and when the first way doesn't work, then we quit. We view it as the death of our dream, not the death of a process that didn't work. You know, I think of people like Edison and the Wright brothers, and I think it was Goddard who was doing rocket flight, and all the failures that they had. You ever see any of those little movies from the first rocket launches that were way back in the early 1900s, and they're veering off and going that way? And what if after that he just said, this doesn't work, I'm going to quit? Okay, we wouldn't be where we are today. So we take a look, we start to get our dreams. The Wright brothers said they had a vision of the airplane working. Edison had a vision, a dream of the light bulb. They knew it was possible because they had seen it already done. That's the dream. We listened to Martin Luther King, and he's very specific in his dream. I see this, and I see this, and I see this. What is it that we know that we came here, that we have seen already done, that we know is ours to do? I invite you to breathe again, because I know for some of us it brings up stuff, because we haven't lived that dream as fully as we want to. We have relationship dreams, we have career dreams, we have dreams in many areas of our lives. And again, we either settle for less. You know, we get told when we're really young, oh, you can't do that. Nobody in our family has done that. You're a boy, you're a girl, you can't do that. So we settle for less. Be practical. Nobody can make a living doing that. And that's more important, is making a living, right? There was a study done a while back, and I can't remember who did it exactly, but between people who when they left college decided to do what would make them the most money, and people who left college to do what they really wanted to do. And they found that down the road, the people who were doing what they really wanted to do had made way more money than the people who left college to make money. By following their dreams, even though at first, oftentimes it takes a dip like this. I have a friend named Tama Keeves. Tama was trained as a lawyer out of Harvard, went to work for a big law firm in Boston, started off on a high-rolling career to be a big lawyer, and halfway through it, not even halfway through it, a couple of years into it, said, "But I've always wanted to be a writer." Stepped out of that law firm. And she said it was hard at first because she moved to Denver. She was taking jobs waitressing tables, this highly paid lawyers waitressing tables, while all of her law friends are making large six-figure incomes. But she kept at it, and she kept at it, and she kept at it, and she got rejection notices and rejection notices, but she kept at it until finally she wrote her first book called This Time I Dance, which is a story about living your dream and how to make it practical. And today she's she's got several books out, she's a well-known consultant basically in the field of living your dreams and going for what you truly want. And I don't know if she makes quite as much as she would have made as a lawyer, but she's very, very happy and making good money. Do we go after what we want? Do we settle for less? Or do we quit when it doesn't work out? We go out and we give it one try. Anybody besides me ever done that? Give it one try. If it doesn't work, we kind of bail. Say, oh, well, I guess I didn't really want that. I guess I wasn't meant to have that. And so we confuse the failure of the process with the death of the dream. We had somebody in our intentions retreat who was talking about that she had a dream and she went after it, and the process, the way she went after it, didn't work out after a while. And so she finally set the dream aside and went off to be practical. And during the intentions retreat, she had the aha that it wasn't the dream that had died. It was that the process itself hadn't worked out. See, Martin Luther King tried a bunch of processes, didn't he? And other people who had that same dream tried a bunch of processes. Everything from violence, Black Panthers and people like that, to let's just stay in our place and pretend it's not really happening, and to all sorts of things in between. They tried process after process. And they keep throwing processes at it, and it slowly works out. It slowly works out. We slowly have a greater respect for each other as human beings. And this isn't just black for whites. This is men for women. This is everybody for everybody else. This is greater respect for each human being. That is the dream. The women's movement, the gay rights movement owe a lot to this movement here, the racial equality movement. I think about my last relationship. I had a relationship dream. It was to love and be loved as God loves. That was my dream going into it. That was my vision. It was my vision statement going into it. And I would invite you to have a vision statement whenever you enter something, whenever you enter a relationship, whenever you enter a career. What's your vision for that career? And mine was to love and be loved as God loves. And as most of you who've been around know, that didn't work out so well in that particular thing. One of the other dreams I had was co-ministry. My wife and I had gone through ministerial school together, and I had this dream of co-ministry, that we were going to do ministry together. And when the whole thing fell apart, it took me a long time to realize that the relationship had died, but my dream hadn't. Because at the start, I felt like all of it had collapsed. My dream of relationship, my dream of co-ministry. And it's one of the reasons I spent a lot of time holding relationship off at arm's length. It's like, I'm not going to do that again. I'm happy living by myself. I don't need no stinking relationship. And so, I even carried a little bit over into here. It's one of the reasons I was so adamant about, I don't date in the congregation. No. Part of that was my own defense mechanism. And so I had to finally deal with the fact that the dream was still there. The dream was still there. we don't want to mistake the dream with the process that we do. Processes work and processes don't work. The dream is what we want to stay after. The dream, which is in our heart, is what we really want to go after. So I'm going to ask you a question. What is your dream? What is the one that you've been hiding in your closet for a long time, saying, I know it's there, but I have no idea how to make it happen? And now you have to understand, Reverend David, I'm too old. I'm not educated enough. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough this. I don't have enough that. I can't because of this. I can hear those thoughts. I can hear them because they live in my head too. So if you were to shake off the dust off your dream that's in your closet, what's one of those dreams? What's the dream for your life that you still want, that you still value? What's your dream for the world that you still want, that you still value? What's your heart calling for you? What's your heart dream? What is it that you know calls for you? And even if you've shoved it in the closet, taped up the door and said, will you please just shut up? It's still sitting there going boom, 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 and you know it's yours. What is that dream? What does it look like? One of the ways to start to embody the dream is to say, what does it really look like? Not just, I have a dream that everybody loves each other. Martin Luther King, I love the way he started to talk about that. I don't have that in front of me, but he said, that these little kids get along with each other. This, my 4 children will be able to have this experience. Little black boys and little black girls will be able to hold hands with little white girls and little white boys. That everywhere he starts to define, what does the dream look like? What does my dream look like? If I knew I was getting it, would I know it? Because I've defined it enough to say this is what it looks like. And so we start to take the dream out and start to give it some substance, start to say, what does it actually look like, so that I can start to define it, so I can start to move at least towards some aspect of it. What is my dream? Take a breath. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, as soon as we take the dream out of the closet, who was it? Spiro Agnew, I think it was, used this wonderful phrase, the nattering nabobs of negativity that live within us will start to chatter. You can't. You shouldn't. No one else ever has. Who do you think you are? Anybody besides me ever have those little nabobs? Yeah. And so that'll start chattering away at you. And so I have a question to ask you when you come to that. Are you willing to dump them? Yeah. Are you willing to dump those? Are you willing to dump excuses? Are you willing to dump belief in limitation and lack? Are you willing to dump past failures? Yeah, the duck's lost. Move on. Are we willing to dump the past failures of our lives? Yeah, that relationship, that career didn't work out. Move on. Are we willing to dump giving power to our smallness? Most of us believe more in our smallness than we do in our greatness, based on the results we do in our lives. Are we willing to dump giving power to our past hurts? Oh, but it's such a good story. That person really did it to me. Are we willing to just say, the heck with that? I was doing a practitioner session with a person yesterday, and somebody that I've been working with for a lot of years. And she said, I just got through watching The Hobbit, the last of the Hobbit movies. She says, I'm so tired of carrying around my stuff. She says, I'm so tired of working on it and working on it and working on it. She says, I want the battle of 5 armies. I want it to be taken down completely now. I don't ever want to have to work on it again. I want the eagles to come swooping in. I want the elves and the dwarves and all that to come and kick that stuff out of my life. Are you willing to have that stuff once and for all kicked out of your life? Some, yeah. Some, yes. Some, I'm not so sure. Are you willing to have it dumped? Because if you don't, you carry it around and it weighs your dream down, and it weighs you down. And a part of you sits there in deep grief because you know you came here to shine, and you don't. Take a breath. So I don't care what's happened to you before. I don't care what you have or haven't done before. The universe, I love Ernest Holmes' principle, is not bound by precedent. It does not care what you did before. It cares what you're going to do now. Because the universe is operating in the now moment, this now moment. And so as you start to say yes to your dream now, the universe has no choice but to respond with a resounding yes. Because that's all the universe ever says, is yes. I love the ending of that talk where he says, let freedom ring from everywhere. Let freedom ring. When we live our dream, we are living our freedom. We are living our aliveness. The very first chapter of the first page of the first chapter of the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes says, freedom is the universe's only agenda for us. It's the universe's only agenda is our freedom. Would you be willing to be free? And have that freedom and that power to live the dream that you know is yours. And so that's what I'm going to invite you to do today. I realized that last weekend was a year ago since I first spoke here. Time flies, doesn't it? It's a year ago. It was January 12th last year that I did my first talk here, did my Hogwarts workshop, and went home and started packing because I knew I was coming here. And in my talk with the not steering committee, selection committee, who was looking for a minister, I remember I told Harry Bliley, I said, Harry, I want to give you a problem. He says, what's that? He says, the problem I want you to have is to figure out where we're going to meet in the interim because we've outgrown the sanctuary. Because we've gotten so big. We got a little visual of that yesterday. We had a memorial service here that they were flowing out into the foyer. We didn't have enough chairs in this place. We got a taste of that at Christmas Eve service this year. You know, yesterday we had two guys. It was myself and Ray were working the parking lot, helping people to find parking spaces, and they were up and down the street and on the little frontage road over here. And I looked at Ray afterwards and I says, I want this to be a mental equivalent of what our parking lot's going to look like on every single Sunday morning for 10:30 service. Can you join me with that? Yes. And I don't want it for my ego. I want it because if we touch that many people with spiritual principle, if we touch that many people with opening their hearts and living their dreams, we will transform this community. And we will start to transform out way beyond this community in Redding. So I want us to see us grow in the number of people that we are having a positive, powerful effect on their lives. I want us to see us grow in the power of the music program that we have here. I know you guys don't really get the music program, but if you come to 10:30 service, it's getting better than it used to be. Okay? The choir is rocking the house. We're getting better musicians. We have, next week, we have Andy Anderson, my good friend. If you were at my installation, he was the last person who played the African-American gentleman who played the piano. And as somebody said afterwards, he got us to do what nobody else has ever done. He says he got a bunch of old white people to stand up and shake their booty. And so we have Andy coming this coming weekend. A month from then, we have Esther Nicholson, who used to be a backup singer for Rod Stewart, who's going to come and sing and do the talk, and very powerful, wonderful practitioner out of Agape. A couple weekends after that, middle of March, my birthday weekend, we're going to have Eddie Watkins Jr., who is just played bass behind most of the Motown bands back in the 60s and 70s, and is a fabulous New Thought musician who will absolutely blow your socks off and rock the house. Okay? You want to be here for that. The power of music is because music gets into our heart, it gets into our soul. It's more than just the words. And so opening up to that. And so that's part of my vision. My vision is to see a greater spiritual growth and depth. I don't want to just see bodies in chairs. I want to see people in classes. I want to see people wrestling with these spiritual principles and applying them in their lives, and their lives just rippling and glistening and glowing because of that. It's the great joy that I have when somebody comes to me a couple weeks after I've done a talk and says, "Hey, Reverend David, I did what you said. And this is the result that happened." It's like, yes, that's why I do the talk. I don't do the talk for me to blab. I do the talk so people can have greater lives. People like Mary and Marilyn and myself, we teach the classes so that people can have greater and more powerful lives. That's why we're here. It's for you. And so that's what we see is that greater spiritual growth and depth. I see both our youth and our young adults having a more powerful experience of life, more grounded in these principles, so they can go out and live their lives in this world that sometimes, and this is nothing new. E. Cummings wrote a poem that says the hardest thing that you can ever do is be yourself in a world that is trying to make you into something else. Okay? And so we ground them in that. I want to see us having a more powerful SEVA program where we are coming together as a group, as a team of volunteers in sacred service to make this place beautiful, and then to go out into the community, to the larger community, and make that more powerful and more impactful. I love what Reverend Mary does with some of the work that she has done in the past, the Souls for Shoes and the new Shoes for Souls, sorry, yeah, that one. We put souls into shoes, and we put soul, yeah. And the new program that we're doing with the People of Progress, to where we can improve lives out beyond these walls. Those are just some of the visions I have for the center, some of the dream that I have for the center. It takes you to make that happen. So this week I want to invite you to do three things. Number one, listen. What is your dream? Just listen to it. Ask the question, listen for the answer. What is my dream? It may show up in your dreams. It may show up while you're taking a shower. It may show up while you're on a walk. It may show up while you're washing dishes. What is my dream? What is that one that scares me? Because your dream should scare you. It should be bigger than you can do yourself. What is my dream? Number two, give it clarity. Start to specify to whatever degree you can, what does it look like? What does it look like? Start to give it some clarity so that you know what you're doing. And finally, three, commit to it. Commit to it. Commit to giving it time and energy. I don't care how many times you've failed before. I don't care if you've never even tried it before. Commit to giving it time and energy. I'm going to close with what I call another I Have a Dream speech. This one's by Ernest Holmes. It was the last talk that he ever gave at the Asilomar Conference. Saturday, August 15th, 1959, and it came to be known as the Sermon by the Sea. And I may go a little bit long because this is excerpts out of it, but it's Ernest, see. He's long-winded, but everything he says is deep, so it's hard to cut things out of Ernest, But I've edited it a bit. Our religion is not something to be lived merely here at Asilomar, as much inspiration as we receive from it, but rather to take that consciousness which we have arrived at here back with us into whatever activities we may be engaged in. There is nothing in the world that can take the place of love, friendship, appreciation, and cooperation in our lives. Get that? Love, friendship, appreciation, and cooperation. I have thought so much about this all week because these are the only things that have any meaning in the eternal values in which we are so interested. Emerson said that it is very easy for us to maintain a spiritual equilibrium in solitude, but the great man is he who in the midst of the crowds shall still keep the sweetness, the independence of his solitude. Everything that lives proclaims the glory of God. Every person who exists manifests the life of God. There is one spirit in which we live, one mind by which we think, one body of which we are a part, and one light that lighteth every man's pathway. We are a part of the evolution of human destiny. We are a part of the unfoldment of the divine intelligence in human affairs. It has reached the point of consciousness and deliberate cooperation with that principle of evolution and the outpush of the creative urge of spirit, on this planet at least, to bring about innumerable centers which it may enjoy. That's you and me. Also, we may enjoy it through the divine interior awareness, which is the intercommunication of God with man, revealing our own divine nature. Having had the privilege of starting religious science, I would wish, will, and desire above all things else that the simplicity and purity of our teaching could never be violated. There is a purpose of simplicity, a consciousness of unity, a straight-line thinking in our philosophy that has never appeared before in the world outside of the teachings of men like Jesus and Emerson. It would be my desire that simplicity and purity and directness, that straight thinking, would never depart from the techniques of our practitioners or instructions of our teachers or understanding of our lay people. It is the most direct impartation of divine wisdom that has ever come to the world, because it incorporates the precepts of Jesus and Emerson and Buddha and all the rest of the wise. And I would say that in our teaching there should never be any arrogance, for it always indicates spiritual immaturity. Others will arise who will know more than we do. They won't be better or worse, they will be different and know more than we do. Evolution is forward. It would be wonderful indeed if a group of persons should arrive on earth who were for something and against nothing. This would be the summum bonum of human organization. Find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough to not condemn others out of the burden of his soul, and I will find another Savior, another Jesus, and an exalted human being. Find me one person who no longer has any fear of the universe, or of God, or of man, or of anything else, and you will have brought to me someone in whose presence we may sit, and fear shall vanish as clouds before the sunlight. Find me someone who has given all that he has to love, without morbidity, and I will find the lover of my soul. Why? Because he will have revealed to me the nature of God and proved to me the possibility of all human souls. Find me one person who can get his own littleness out of the way, and he shall reveal to me the immeasurable magnitude of the universe in which I live. Find me one person who knows how to talk to God really, and I shall walk with him through the woods, and everything that seems inanimate will respond. The leaves of the trees will clap their hands, the grass will grow soft under him. Find me one person who communes with cause and effect, and in the evening star will sing to him, and the darkness will turn to light. Through him, as the woman who touched the hem of the garment of Christ was healed, shall I be healed of all loneliness forever. Find me someone who is no longer sad, whose memory has been redeemed from morbidity, and I shall hear laughter. Find me someone whose song is really celestial, because it is the outburst of the cosmic urge to sing, and I shall hear the music of the spheres. Find me one person who has so completely divorced himself from himself all arrogance, and you will have discovered for me an open pathway to the kingdom of God here and now. Find me somebody who has detached his emotional and psychological ego from the real self, without having to deny the place it plays in the scheme of things, and without slaying any part of himself, because the transcendence is there also. And I will have discovered the ineffable in this individual and a direct pathway for the communion of my own soul. I am talking about you and me. When I say find a person, I don't mean go over to Rome or London or back to your own church. The search is not external. These people all exist in us. They are different attributes, qualities of our own soul. They are different visions. Not that we have multiple or dual personalities, but that every one of us on that inner side of life is, has been, and shall remain in eternal communion with the ineffable. You are religious science. I am not. I am only the one who puts something together. I do not even take myself seriously, but I take what I am doing seriously. You are religious science. Our ministers, our teachers, our practitioners, our laymen. You find me 1,000 people in the world who know what religious science is and use it, and live it as it is. And I myself will live to see a new world, a new heaven, and a new earth here. What I'm saying is this: there is a law that backs up the vision, and the law is immutable. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. There is a power transcendent beyond our needs, our little wants. Demonstrating a dime is good if one needs it. or healing oneself of a pain is certainly good if one has it. But beyond that, at the real feast of the tabernacle of the Almighty, in the temple of the living God, in the banquet hall of heaven, there is something beyond anything that you and I have touched. Find 1,000 people who know that and use it, and the world will no longer be famished. How important it is that each one of us, in his own simple way, shall live from God, to God, with God, in God, and to each other. That is why we are here, and we are taking back with us, I trust, a vision and an inspiration, something beyond a hope and a longing, that the living Spirit shall walk through us anew into its own creation, and a new glory come with a new dawn. Let us pray. So I know that there is that one infinite life, that one infinite presence, the all good, the pure love, the life energy, the vitality, the wholeness. And that because it is all that there is, that each of us is one of that, right here, right now. Always has been, always will be, and are right now. And so I speak my word that I know that as we catch this dream, we catch the life energy that is us, that is that Spirit working through us. That the dream is the individualized consciousness, the individualized desire of the infinite to express itself as us and through us. And it is ours to say yes. It is ours to allow it, not force it to happen, not try to figure out how to make it happen, but to say yes, to open and allow it to express through us. We say yes to that dream. We start to say yes by listening to what is it? Why did I come to earth? Why did I suit up and take on this body? What was my purpose, and what is still my purpose for being here? What is my dream? What is that inflames my heart? What is that if I would let it, would keep me awake at night with joy, with desire for its expression? And so it is my word and my prayer that each of us says yes to this. That each of us hears our dream, no matter how young, how old, no matter what the circumstances in our lives, because we are the infinite Almighty. We say yes to that dream. We allow it to manifest on earth. We allow ourselves to be that starting point, that founding point. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't live too long after that I Have a Dream speech, and yet the dream continues. He doesn't have to be the only person to make it happen. But the dream continues. And so I speak my word that we open to our dream, we say yes to it. We allow it to be birthed through us in the most beautiful, powerful way possible. And out of that I give thanks and great gratitude. Because as we each allow that dream, that light, that vision to move through us, this world is transformed. Our individual lives and everything and everyone around us are transformed. And so I'm grateful for that transformation. I'm grateful for the greater expression of the divine, of good on this planet as this planet. I'm grateful for each person here who says yes to that dream. And so we allow it to unfold perfectly. We plant this dream, we plant this word like a seed into the soil of the infinite mind that brings it about into form and expression and experience. It knows how to do it. We don't have to figure out the how. We simply say yes to the dream. We let it be. We let it unfold. And it does. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you.